So you guys don't like the Bruins either, huh? I didn't even have any idea until today, but thanks for showing up, everybody. Big round of applause for coming out. You guys having a good night so far? I'm having a good night. I was driving over here and I was listening to the new Paul Simon single. It's called 50 Ways to Beat Edie Brickell. I figured half of you would get that, and then half of you a week later would be reading People magazine like, oh, that's what that silverback looking motherfucker was talking about last week. But anyway, folks, tonight's a big night. It's an amazing night, folks. This is our 15th night without an Asian-based transportation tragedy. I'm sorry. I know the night's young, and I still have to drive through Quincy, so, you know, anything can happen, but it's been a crazy month, man. Like, seriously, we had that Malaysian flight. Whodunit mystery. The thing that gets me about that is, like, during 9/11, you know, we got told, like, oh, they unplugged the transponder, and then we couldn't find the plane, and here we are 12 years later, and it's like, oh, they unplugged the transponder, and it's the same mystery, and I'm like, can we get a transponder you can't unplug? 12 years later, I mean, the fucking only advantage I see to unplugging the transponder is you're not going to alert the authorities to where you plan on crashing the plane. You know, call me crazy. Speaking of crazy, did you guys see that Courtney Love said that she found the fucking airplane at one point? It was like a legit news story on like CNN. She can't tell you where fucking Kurt Cobain's money or her daughter is, but when it comes to fucking underwater airplanes, she's a motherfucker. But, you know, then we had the ferry tragedy. There's nothing funny about that. Except they found the captain getting on a lifeboat 3 minutes after it sunk with his underwear on. Like, that was pretty crazy. But after all that horrible stuff, we had Easter. Everyone here have a good Easter? Any Catholics in the crowd? Right. Anybody give away anything for, like, on Lent? Do you give up anything for Lent? Anybody? Round of applause.
Chocolate.
Chocolate, well, that's actually great. And my buddies do that too. And I give them a hard time. I'm like that's gonna get you into heaven. Like you didn't have to go for like a month. Like you get to the pearly gates in St. Peter's. Like, well, it was kind of a jump ball, but it says here that from roughly March 5th until April 17th, you didn't have one twist. Your sacrifice is smiled upon by your heavenly Father. Please don't. Seriously, like my buddy Jimmy went crazy. He's a super nice guy, one of the nicest guys I know at work. He gave up beer. I was like, what are you doing? Seriously, like everything was great the first weekend on Lent. We come in Monday. I'm like, hey Jimmy, how'd your weekend go? He's like, my in-laws showed up 3 hours early for my wife's birthday dinner. I was like, really, Jimmy? You didn't have any beer at all? He's like, nope. I'm like, hour two, I'd be shooting heroin into my taint. What the fuck? I'm like, no beers. He's like, it was a 3-hour old school miserable like discussion about how the goddamn hippies lost Super Bowl III for the Indianapolis Colts and like, I'm like, Jimmy, man, Jesus doesn't want that. Jesus doesn't want that at all. Trust me. Next time that happens, Jesus wants you to go down to the liquor store, get yourself about a 12 yak and about 3 nips of like whatever you like that you can drink out in the backyard by the trash barrel. Jesus will meet you out there. They'll be like, hey, James, come on, hey, man, let me open that for you. Hold on. Hey, here's a beer, man. Hey, what are you drinking? Jack Daniels, man, that shit is my jam. I love me some Jack. Hey, Jim, did I tell you that story about Easter, man? It was crazy. Like, 12 of my homies show up on a Friday night. We got like 2 bottles of Jack. We're fucking gone, disappeared. We're partying, Last Supper, and our ass off. Party rolls into the next day. Next thing you know, the police hem me up on some racial shit. I'm just saying, you know. And then after the biggest case of police brutality in the history of the world, your kid gets to eat chocolate bunnies once a year on Sunday. So. But, you know, it's crazy giving up stuff for Easter. Hey, I'm all for a sacrifice. You know who's going to be giving up some stuff this year, folks? Donald Sterling's going to be giving up his NBA team, side pieces. let's be honest, you might as well give up eating at restaurants too, man. Black people are not amused. He's going to be walking into restaurants and they're going to be like, well, we'll bring you to your table, sir. Tonight we have a marvelous menu of duck l'orange. That's going to be paired with a white wine. And actually, right now, out back, Cedric is working up an intoxicating memory of loogies and lung cakes and eye boogies. And I mean, let's be honest, that guy can never trust food that he hasn't cooked from now until he dies. But I don't know, the whole scandal was actually kind of weird. I listened to the tapes and I'm like, that's not really that. Like, the weirdest part was like, he's like, you didn't have sex with Magic Johnson. But I'm kind of a dick when it comes to you putting it on Instagram. Like, I'm like, Instagram, this guy is 80. What? And that's what you're worried about? And then I was thinking, like, my God, well, maybe he's trying to give her a message. Maybe he's like, honey, you know, like with the black guys, maybe I'm into that kind of porn where, like, I sit on one side of the couch and you get sexually destroyed by the brother with the biggest tool that they could find out at Labor Ready that morning. Oh, we get the dark chocolate. You know, that's your favorite kind of porn, man. I see it in your eyes right now. Meanwhile, she says the most racially insensitive shit that comes into her head, like shit that would make Paula Dean blush. Black people call that kind of porn reparations, actually. But anyway, that's his story. Guys, thank you so much for coming out and laughing. Thanks for sharing your night.
Mr. Jay, come on, keep it going for Mr. Jay.